Hi, I'm Stefano Ghisolfi and I'm a La Sportiva athlete since 2015, so it's been 7 years since we collaborate together, and it is a close collaboration because I now live in Arco in Trentino. La Sportiva is from Trentino, from Italy, so we have common roots and we share the same value. They make great products, they make the best climbing shoes in the world, and yeah, for me the performance is the most important thing, and having La Sportiva together with me is for me the best ally I could have. Yeah, the connection with Arco and with the Rockmaster is important because I live here. I train here in this climbing stadium almost every day. So La Sportiva is sponsor for Rockmaster, and it is important to me that is all connected.
Hello, my name is Raimonda Dushku and I am CEO and partner of Birra Artigianale Impavida, which is a newborn craft brewery in Arco. We love being partners and sponsors of Rockmaster Arco because Arco is our hometown, first of all, and it is a mecca for climbers of all around the world, and a beautiful festival. I would call it that way. It's not only a competition, but it's also a festival that brings together people with the same passion. Impavida means brave and following your own path and making independent choices, and that is definitely something that climbers do basically in their activity, and we love to be at the end of their climbing activity to share a good genuine craft beer for celebrating basically the day. So
my name is Oliviero Jakob. I'm the CEO and owner of Duel, a company that makes technical mountain equipment since 1818. We are traditionally more known for mountaineering and ice climbing equipment, that is ice axes and crampons. In the recent years we have been investing a lot into rock climbing equipment, and we try to make ourselves more known into that field, and Rockmaster is a great opportunity for that. There is a natural connection between Rockmaster and Duel because I think we have a similar heritage. Rockmaster is a very old, if we can say, competition that's been standing for a long time, and as well as we are an old company that's been around for a long time, so we share the same let's say heritage and the same tradition linked to mountaineering into rock climbing. We are particularly happy this year because we have been able to put on the wall our newest quick draw, which is called the Stealth Quick Draw, which is specially designed for sport climbing. It has a very wide opening and very ergonomic shape, so it's easier to clip and smoother for the rope.
Angelo Seneci, founder of Synthrock 2, Synthrock born with Rockmaster in '88. We built up the first climbing wall for Rockmaster. That was really adventure because nobody knows how to build up an artificial climbing wall. And now, after 35 years, we are still here. We'll build up the new climbing wall for Rockmaster in 2000. We renew the wall last year for the Italian Federation. And 2 weeks ago, we just finished the wall in Copper for the World Cup in September. We can say we have a long experience in artificial climbing wall for competition, but also for gym all over Europe.
Good evening and welcome back to a very damp Arco. Charlie Bosco here with local climber and route setter Leonardo Di Marino alongside me. The big news here in Arco is it has been raining, but luckily the wall is dry, the qualification is underway, and all seems to be okay, but we are going to start our programming slightly earlier than normal. Leo, so far so good. The competition seems to be going okay. We can hear the qualification going on. You helped to set the route tonight. What can people expect to see from the routes that you've set?
I think the difficult combined with a lot of stamina, because 4 runs on this difficult, it's a very big performance.
What did you see last night? The climbers practiced the routes. What did you see? Did you change the routes at all?
No, we haven't changed nothing. Only on the female route we make a mistake with the halt. But this evening we changed the start due to the ground, it's wet. No, we change only the first movement, the very first movement.
Yeah,
to have more safe for the competitors.
Yeah, you'll see what Leo's talking about. The first move of both the men's and the women's routes was to run and jump for the first hold, but now a hole has been added, so it's no longer a jump because people probably have wet shoes. Maybe a jump isn't ideal. But in terms of style, what is the route like? Because you have to go quickly, right? So it can't be too complex.
Yes, we don't have too much tricky movements for sure. Due also because we don't have enough wall. We are.
It's quite narrow, right?
Yes, yeah. Yes. We have to set in more or less 1.5 meters for routes, and so they have to go direct. Our goal is that if you are on the main route, it's not an advantage to go on the holds of the women route and the opposite.
Because some of the holds are shared between the routes.
You can touch everything you want.
Okay.
If you are on the red routes, you can also touch or put your feet on the blue holds. But if you want to go fast, it's not an advantage.
Okay. Well, we'll see if conditions are suitable for going fast. Like I say, it's very humid, very wet here in Arco. Normally, the sun is shining, as I found out yesterday when I did a little tour of the Garda Trentino region. For the 35th time, the eyes of the climbing world are turning this week to Arco in the heart of the Garda Trentino region. The area is a mecca for climbing and most other outdoor sports, as I found out yesterday, starting on the famous Ponali Trail with my guide Carmen and Steffi, who's in charge of outdoor projects at the Garda Trentino Tourist Board. Steffi, we're high above Lake Garda, you work for the Tourist Board here. What are you focusing on right now?
Here at Lake Garda we have a lot of tourists right now, and it's important to protect also our environment. That's why we are promoting less but caring more about our trails. We start this year with the team of Garda Rangers that really goes to our trails, check if they are okay, otherwise they work and repair it.
And when people visit Lake Garda, what will they see change in the next 5 years?
We also try to manage also the access to some hotspots because, for example, we were here along the Ponale. We have here about more than 500,000 people per year passing along this trail. And sometimes it's too much and it can be dangerous. That's why we want also to develop a management system also to regulate the access to some hotspots. Our richness is that at Lake Garda you have everything. We have climbing crags, we have biking tours, we have hiking trails, we have canyoning, paragliding. Also, we live in a paradise, and also water sports is not missing, so everybody can do everything.
After lunch, we headed out with mountain guide Mauro Girardi to check out one of the 20 crags which make up the outdoor park, an initiative started to make Arco climbing more accessible for newcomers to the sport.
Arco, it's a nice place to start climbing because it's easy to find information about where is the crag of climbing. And we have a lot of easy climbing and difficult climbing. The community of Arco, Nago and Torbole, 15 years ago, they start to take care about the climbing walls. The information tourist office, Garda Trentino, like 10, 12 years ago, they made an outdoor park for they started to rebuild a new tracks for the bikers and also started to take care about the climbing walls and all about the fun that you can have in Garda Lake. The recommendation of a climber that I can give is to come in Arco because it's nice. We have lots of routes from easy to difficult, and what is fun that you can climb half-day climbing, and then you can go windsurfing, you can go biking, you can go in the beach and have a relaxed day.
Finally, we wandered into the old town of Arco and grabbed a word with the president of Arco Rockmaster, Stefano Tambarini, to better understand what climbing means to the town and to the wider Garda Trentino region.
The connection between climbing and Arco is very strong. Arco is definitely, we can say, the house of climbing. The connection between climbing and Arco started in the 80s and started growing in the last 10 years very fast. I mean, not only the connection between Arco and the territory and the economy, but also with the people that live in Arco. Now they've got a different attitude towards the climbing. When the climbing started, I mean, in the 80s was not a real sport that we like it, because there was few people that they don't live very much on the territory, but now it's completely different. Now Arco lives for climbing. The economy of Arco is based most of the climbing sport and for the people that make this climbing. I think the connection between Arco and the climbing is something unique. It's something that a feeling that you can feel when you go walking through the streets of Arco. You go to the ice cream shop, you see all the photos of the climber. You go to every shop that you visit. There's something that remember you that you are in the house of climbing.
And welcome back to Arco in real life, which is a little bit rainy, a little bit darker than it looked on that video, but conditions improving by the second. It's actually stopped raining. We're pretty close to being ready to go. I believe we've just concluded the qualification round. We've actually been sitting here, obviously talking to you at home, but I believe we're just about ready to go. The athletes have been presented to the crowd. So there are, of course, 8 men and 8 women, and there they are. And they've just had the qualification round, as I mentioned, and the couples in the quarterfinals are scheduled according to how they performed in the qualifying round. So if you got the fastest time in the qualifying round, you race against the person who got the 8th best time in the qualifying round. Second goes against 7th, third goes against 6th, fourth goes against 5th. Dare I say it, slightly like a speed climbing competition. And fittingly enough, the speed wall is right behind the climbers there. So as I say, 8 men, 8 women. The women there on the left, the men on the right. They've already had the KO boulder this afternoon, but they've had a chance for a little bit of a rest, and it's a completely different style of climbing taking place this evening, so hopefully the athletes still feel fresh enough to give it everything they've got. Jakob Schubert waving there, picked up another gold medal, just another in his long industrious career this afternoon in the bouldering competition. Vita Lucan now getting presented to the crowd. Vita didn't have a great time on the boulders earlier on today, but very strong lead climber. Let's see what she can do on the dual wall. We'll talk more about format as time goes by, but for now, let's just keep an eye on the climbers. Misha Picoroaz, again, not over the moon, a bit like Vita, not over the moon with how it went today in the boulder. Chance to make amends. And I am going to make the assumption that climbers are being introduced in terms of how they performed in the qualifying round. I can't spot any other pattern. Camilla Moroni now. Very strong Italian climber. The results really beginning to come for her. It'd be great to see what she can do on the dual wall. Of course, it doesn't bear exact resemblance to a lead competition. much about speed, the route being easier. It's much more about speed and beating the person next to you. But even so, it'll be interesting to see how these climbers' skills and how the results recently translate onto the wall. Janja, there she is, the world champion already, season champion in lead already at the age of just 18.
Experienced guy around. This guy has been second in Arco last year and is already bronze and silver overall World Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Czech Republic, Martin Stranik.
Martin Stranik, still doing it, still strong and still a threat.
Back to the ladies. That girl has been many times in Italian championships and overall.
It's the oldest person in the competition on either side, Martin Stranik, 32 years old, but still doing it. Do not bet against him.
The other Italian Olympian,
Laura Rigora, a strong performance in the boulder from her earlier on today. We're 3 years on from when she won the boulder lead and combined youth world championships right here, this same stadium here in Arco. Feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? 2019. Laura Rigora back here now. Now 21 years old. She climbed 9B outdoors. So a serious player on rock as well as on plastic. Same goes for that guy right there, Stefano Gisolfi. Grew up in Turin, but now firmly a resident of Arco, lives literally 2 minutes away from this stadium and trains here most days. How will he get on? Stashigayo of Serbia. Not giving much away. Let's see how she finds the dual competition this evening. Philip Schenk, again, I don't want to give too much away if you didn't see the bouldering earlier, but Philip Schenk will be happy, let's put it that way. Put on a great show, looked really strong on the boulders. Has he burned himself out? Has he used all his energy? We will find out shortly. So as I say, the climbers climb on identical routes. One climber on the left, one climber on the right. If you qualified first, if you had the fastest time up the dual wall in the qualifying, you take on the person who was 8th in the qualifying. And although the climbers were introduced together, obviously it's men in one competition and women on the other side. We just did the introductions together. Angelo Sanecci, the organizer of the Arco Rockmaster. This is the 35th edition of the competition. What a privilege to be here. What a legendary venue, this is the climbing stadium here in Arco. So climbers disappear backstage, and as I say, then it'll be first against 8th, second against 7th, so on and so forth. So Cheon-Soo will take on Stasha Gayo in the first race, then Jessie Peltz against Evgenia Kazbekova, Vita Lukin against Laura Rigora, Yutong Zan will then take on Camila Moroni, and it is a simple knockout format. So each climber races once. If they win, they progress. If they don't win, that is the end of their evening, until we have 2 left, and then they race for the win. It's a pretty simple format, and we like it. You might be able to hear in the background, and you can see them on the camera there, an impressive crowd, especially given that it's raining. Arco, one of the world capitals of climbing, and people turn out whatever the weather. And seeing as it has stopped raining now, we are hoping that a few more people will drift from the cafes and restaurants of Arco into the venue here. So I think we're seconds away from our first race. We are slightly ahead of schedule. We were expecting to be starting around now, but we've actually gone on a little bit early, and we're going to try and get the competition going a little bit early to try and beat the rain. We're being told that there's heavier rain coming in not too long. We believe we're in the eye of the storm. We had incredibly heavy rain an hour or 2 ago, and apparently there's a little more of that coming this evening. So we're trying to get the competition squeezed in while we have some relatively dry conditions. if you are just tuning in, welcome. We are a little bit ahead of schedule. Charlie Bosco here with Leonardo Di Martino alongside me. And Leo, how are the conditions now compared to when you set the routes? Slightly better now?
No, now it's very better. Except the start, I think the friction this evening is very good. Because only for the temperature, maybe more than 10 or 15 degree difference.
Okay. Well, let's see. Hope we see some fast times. And remember, it is simply a race to the top. You might have seen it very briefly. I was too busy talking, but yeah, very briefly. There was an extra hold added to make that first move slightly easier. Now we can see, as I mentioned earlier, Cheon Se taking on Stasha Geo. So Stasha qualifying 8th, Cheon qualifying 1st. But it counts for nothing once you're on the wall. It's simply a case of who gets to the top first. There's actually a buzzer at the top, again, a la speed climbing. Tap that and the time stops. If you fall before the top, it gets a little more complicated, but we'd expect most of the climbers to reach the top 9 times out of 10. They're into the middle section of the route now. You can see the change in angle coming up. This wall here in Arco gets incredibly steep, certainly steeper than anything you would normally see at a lead World Cup, for example. It requires a bit of ingenuity to figure out how to move through that steep section. If you stop there, you're going to run into problems because you're going to get pumped very, very quickly. You can see the wall curling back down towards the ground there. Cheon comfortably in the lead right now. Vastly successful lead climber. We're more used to seeing Stasha's big successes come on the boulder wall. But she's staying within half a dozen moves of Cheon. If Cheon makes any big mistakes, it could be an opening perhaps for Stasha. But Cheon so far looking pretty smooth. This is the section I was talking about. You can't hang around here. You've got to make decisions quickly. And that is a final quick draw clip. The climbers slap to the top and then take quite a big fall. Quite a spectacular fall. Here we go, Cheon. Stops the clock at 1:47, falls and disappears out of our shot. Stasha still going. Again, approaching that really steep section of the route. It might not look it because the volumes are different colours, but the routes are, I don't want to say identical, as close to identical as humanly possible. We don't measure the holds and the angles to make sure that they're like a speed route, completely identical, but pretty much identical, the two routes left and right. And Stasha now coming through the overhang. Couple more moves, lining up to slap the timing pad. 2:33 for Stasha. So Cheon through, as you can see, still raining, but pretty light now, pretty manageable. And little fist pump, and they will head backstage. Stasha is now free to indulge in the pizza and craft beer that is for sale in the venue. Cheon has to be a little better behaved and wait for her next race. Cheon looked very smooth all the ways. Nice climbing from Cheon.
Yes. I think she has to preserve the stamina for the next round, because I think Seo it's for sure one of the finalists.
So Janja Kazbekova now makes her way closest to the camera, and in the background is Jessie Pilz of Austria. Jessie, recently crowned World Games champion in Birmingham, Alabama. She was there a couple of weeks ago. And of course, a former lead world champion as well. 2018 in her now hometown of Innsbruck, she was crowned lead world champion. I don't know if you remember, it feels a long time ago, doesn't it, 2018, but a very dramatic final. I'm sure you can find the replay somewhere online. Janja Kazbekova, meanwhile, on her day is capable of beating anyone. Was that a slight fumble with the rope perhaps from Janja? Either way, they're pretty neck and neck so far. Jessie slightly ahead with the clips, but not far ahead. on the moves. Janja really looks in the mood for this, and so does Jessie. This is a very close race, much closer than what we saw earlier. Not much to separate them. One of them goes a move ahead, the other one comes back. Jessie perhaps half a move ahead. Hard to tell at this stage. Both going really, really well. And Janja just had to kind of take into account the rope there and step around it. And now firmly back into a rhythm. And Jessie's definitely opened up a very small lead, but it is tight and there's a lot of climbing still to come. You can see getting up towards the steeper section of the wall, and it only gets steeper after this next quick draw. Quick clip from Janja, I think, bought her a little bit of time then. She is first into the roof. They're pretty much neck and neck actually at this stage. Crowd really coming to life now, recognise we've got a real battle on our hands. You just caught a glimpse of Jessie's face there. She's definitely working hard. No doubt Jenja's the same, and Janja just got tangled up in the rope there. It's that kind of thing that can really cost you. And suddenly Jessie has a lead of a couple of moves, and I think could be set to go for the top. I just wanted to check she hit the timing pad. She did. Stops the clock at 1:34. 4 seconds behind is Janja. Jessie was just out of shot, but looked like she was a little short on the timing pad, but clearly got enough on it to stop it.
They were very close, but obviously they have more or less the same time during the qualification. But Jessica climbed with more regular.
More control.
More control, regular. It's not so...
Yeah, Jessie down the years, definitely the more successful of the two on the lead wall. And maybe that experience just showed slightly. Janja it was all going pretty well at this stage. She was very much in touch, but then she just lost it slightly. And Jessie was short on the timing pad. As I say, just got enough. Janja equally short on it as well. 4 seconds separating them. So Jessie Pilz goes through, she progresses. So this will be interesting. Laura Rigora against Vita Lucan.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Italy, Laura Rigora.
Laura getting a big reception. On Vita, we saw briefly made a mistake.
But very interesting the start of Rigora, the technique, because he matched all the holds on the first hold.
Oh, Laura falls very early on. I was just kind of tuning in to where they were on the wall, and suddenly Laura was falling out of the shot. That is a disappointing result for her. Let's have another look at it. Is it during the clip? No, it was clipped. Foot just came off. That's always the danger, of course. You are trying to climb as fast as you can, and so you have to take some risks. You can't climb with 100% certainty. So Vita Lucan still going, no competition. Still climbing pretty quickly actually, Vita. I guess getting a bit of practice in for future rounds. It's one thing to learn the route, but you've also got to learn to climb it quickly. It seems like she's practicing at the speed as well as the moves themselves. Look like she's fighting pretty hard there actually. Remember, you've got to clip every quick draw. It's like a lead competition. You can't choose to just if in doubt, run it out. You've got to clip every quick draw. And there it is, 1:45. Actually, a pretty quick time, pretty decent time, especially considering she had no opposition. You tend to slow down slightly when there's no one to race against. The adrenaline slightly wears off. But a good time from Vita. She is safely through. So Jessie, Cheon and Vita through. And as Leo mentioned, Laura matching every hold. This is where we lost Laura. Right foot slipped, and that was that. This is a nice shot to see of Vita. Had a real fight. There's a couple of very physical moves through that roof.
Anyway, for Vita, also climbing relaxed, it was a good time.
Yeah, it was a really good time. It's not long to climb a route of this difficulty. So the rope's still coming down from Vita as Camilla Maroni strolls past.
Confronto di questi quarti di finali qui al Rock Master 2022. Per la Cina sulla linea A abbiamo Zhang Yutong e sulla linea B.
Yutong San, by the way, we barely see. There she is. She was just hidden by the B layer. Taking on Camilla Maroni.
Yes.
And I think perhaps signaling that the floor is a little wet. I just saw someone running over with a towel. The rain is actually coming straight down, which is a good thing because there is a roof on the climbing stadium, but it doesn't extend far. So if you get a bit of wind, it really does make life difficult. Yeah, just dried the pad. And the handhold that the climbers are on now is the handhold we were talking about that was added. Originally they had to run and jump at the wall, but it was decided that wasn't a good idea in the current conditions. Yutong Zhang now, I was about to say beginning to pull away, but got herself in a bit of an awkward clipping position and gave Camilla Maroni the chance to catch up. Second Italian in this women's competition, Camilla Maroni. Again, she slightly fumbles a clip. How often are clips an issue in climbing competitions?
Suddenly for Camilla, it's a battle with the clipping.
Yutong Zan definitely got maybe a 2-3 move lead. Both of them had a couple of issues with clips, but Yutong definitely coped with them better. Camilla just cutting loose, and suddenly, talking of cutting loose, Yutong Zan, I think that was a slip, once again, happened very quickly. Let's take another look. I think watch the right foot, it was the left foot that went. It appeared she was in a reasonably comfortable position. Sometimes when one foot is solid and you try and place the other and it slips off like that, you can still stay on the wall, but I think she perhaps already committed to the movement.
Sotto la pioggia perché c'è questa comunque si scherza, ma per gli atleti è una condizione terribile. Fuori c'è la pioggia, umidità relativa del 100% e quindi bisogna essere.
So Camilla Maroni finds herself all alone. A bit like Vita Lucan before her, albeit on the other side of the wall. Can just cruise through. Remember, it doesn't really matter what time she gets. It's good to practice going quickly, of course, but time doesn't really count for anything. You just have to beat the person next to you, and Camilla Maroni has now done that. A couple more moves and she will set up for the top. Much slower, you can see, than some of the times we've seen so far, but gets the job done. She is through to the final four. Yutong Zan there waiting at the bottom. to congratulate Camille. You can see, I think it was the second clip that Camille Moroni struggled with. We're about to see it. This was Yutong. Can't quite tell where this is on the wall.
Secondo tra quarto e quinto nelle qualificazioni con nostro Stefano Ghisolfi, a seguire il terzo scontro tra Filip Schenk e Nikolai Usnik a chiudere il quartetto di questi 8 atleti.
So first 4 races of the women's duel that are done. Spectacular setting here in Arco. The famous lead wall on the left there. We've seen some dramatic moments there down the years. Speed wall in the middle, and of course the duel wall. And Leo, what were your first impressions from the 4 races we've seen so far?
Except for the depth of some slipping holds due to the wet, we have seen that you have to be regular, controlled, also for the clipping, not only for your powerful, because it's to force too much some movements. You pay in the next movements.
And I know when you set, for example, a World Cup lead route, you really think about the clipping. When you set a route for the duel, are you still thinking about the clipping positions quite so much?
Yes. We try to think. The first part, we try to find some comfortable position to clip it. They can go. They can clip easier and go faster. I think it's good for the competition.
And when you set these routes, did you imagine that people would fall below the top, or did you think everyone would, in perfect conditions, were you expecting everybody to top the route every time?
Everybody top the route, but not when they go on the next round. Maybe they can have not enough stamina for top again, or the performance goes down. It's at the limit.
And do you think we're beginning to see that the climbers are tired from the boulder, or do you think the problem is the conditions right now?
No, I think that, probably the condition, but the specialists of boulder, it's hard for them to climb this style of climbing.
Yeah, and you've climbed the route many times. You practice it. Is it quite pumpy? Does it take a lot every time? Is it physical?
It's more physical, I think, than a traditional lead route in a competition of lead. This is more physical, except some movements. It's very pumping.
Okay.
Because it's straight route and so.
And what do you think the athletes can do to? We're just going back to the wall, by the way, now. What do you think the athletes can do to make the route simpler? Is it better to climb quickly and then it's over more quickly, or better to go a little bit slower, take some rest?
No, you don't have to take the rest for sure. Rest is too much.
Okay.
But to go, I've seen in the previous competition that regular climbing, it's a regular speed, normal speed, always at the same speed on every movement. Not to go faster. They often they go very fast in the first movement, and after they lose power. But I've seen, especially for the girls, start slowing and after go on reach the top like first.
On your screen right now, or until a second ago, you could see the lineup for the men's side. The men will be climbing on the left-hand side of each panel, so they'll be climbing the red volumes on the left panel, the black volumes on the right-hand panel. Hopefully that makes sense. Jakob Schubert now, and Luca Potocka. So, first men we've seen on the wall so far this evening. As I mentioned, we weren't live for it, but we had the qualification round earlier. And Jakob Schubert qualified first in that round, and Luca Potocka qualified 8th, so they take each other on. As with the women's, exactly the same. You've got to clip every quick draw, do every move. Well, unless you're tall enough or skilled enough to skip some out, but you've got to somehow get to the top, having clipped every quick draw. Stop the timing pad, and if you're quicker than your opponent, then you progress. And, wow, we could see there Luca Potocka just baited. I was talking about skipping a move out, just essentially skipped out one of the volumes, but still Jakob Schubert holds a comfortable lead already. Probably a 2, maybe 3 move lead. Jakob climbing with a lot of certainty. Won the duel competition here in 2019. Competed in Arco so many times, like a second home to him, Jakob, and so far having very few problems with any of this dual route. Luca Potocka still going strong, but certainly being beaten at this stage by Jakob. But as we saw on the women's side, you can get a fall absolutely out of the blue from nowhere. Fumble with a quick draw, or anything could happen, and suddenly everything changes. But I think Jakob is going to bring this one home, and he does in 1:12. Very, very quick time. 72 seconds to climb a route of this difficulty and length is quite extraordinary. And Luca is not going to be far behind, only ends up 14 seconds behind, but he is eliminated, and it will be Jakob who goes through. You can see Jakob breathing pretty heavily there, actually. 70 seconds of climbing about as hard as you can will probably do that to you. And actually, you can see the routes merge, the men's and the women's routes. They actually do the same final 7 or 8 moves. This was Luca. Didn't need that last hole before the top, 1:26.703. Hopefully it won't come down to thousandths of a second, but it's there if we need it. Stefano Ghisolfi now makes his way out against Martin Stranick. Mentioned it earlier, Martin Stranick, 32 years old, 12 years older than Luca Potocka, who we've just seen on the wall. Stefano Ghisolfi, no doubt one of the crowd favourites. A lot of noise made when he came out. Martin Stranick, though, a fierce competitor. And Martin is, I was about to say fresh, we're almost a year on, but fresh from a World Championship medal, almost in lead in 2021, ended up 4th, very close to a medal. You might remember that final. Stefano, meanwhile, fresh from a very successful afternoon on the boulders here in Arco. And Martin just attempted a move, decided to go back down, tries again. Pretty evenly matched so far. Martin maybe just a move or two ahead. Stefano, amazing league climbing pedigree, those 6 World Cup wins to his name. But no doubt, actually, that Martin is now opening up a bit of a lead. It's not a huge lead, but it's definitely there. Martin's taken a couple of risks, so there's been a couple of times where his feet have come off. Suddenly it's all looked a bit sketchy, but he's still going absolutely fine, and he's now clipped the last quick draw, and barring a disaster, I think he is about to beat the local hero, Stefano Ghisolfi. One more move for Martin, and a very quick time, 1:18. Only 8 seconds behind Jakob, and 5 seconds on again is Stefano.
In these last 2 years, we set harder routes than before. And this maybe could be a problem for the competitors who have climbed a lot in the boulder competition.
Yeah, true. Again, I don't want to give too much away in case you haven't watched it yet, but Stefano was climbing for longer on the boulders than Martin. Of course, the climbers had the practice on the boulders, they've had qualification in the duel, so they've had a lot of climbing, and fatigue is definitely an issue.
It's incredible that when we have at the beginning the route of the duel was not so hard. I think 7C plus, maybe 8A easy, no? They make 1 minute and 10, 1 minute. Now the routes are harder, much more harder than before. I think 8A plus, and always 1 minute and 10.
Yeah, it really puts in perspective the performance level we're talking about. Climbing a route that might be 8A plus in 70 seconds is pretty good going. Philip Schenk now and Nikolai Uznik, and Philip Schenk was a little slow to get going, but suddenly sped up now. You can see when you're climbing at this speed, it's actually not that easy to clip so often. That having to clip so much, it really interrupts the rhythm, but of course it's got to be done, but it makes you realize how quick they're going because they're clipping every, 10 seconds? Philip Schenk showing the kind of form that got him into the lead World Cup in Briançon a week or so ago. Nikolai Uznik coming second right now, definitely a lead to Philip, and it's extending slightly. Philip now into the upper section, already finds himself on the roof, excuse me. Philip Schenk really had to fight those last couple of moves, but finds a way through in 1:23. Couple of heart in the mouth moments, and Nikolai Uznik is obviously going to finish the route in 1:34. So it's Philip Schenk who goes through. Remember, this is a straight knockout format. Doesn't matter if you take 10 minutes to do the route, as long as you're quicker than the person next to you, you move through. Couple of fumbles like that one from Nikolai Uznik, and on the longer quick draw. It is harder to clip a longer quick draw, but it just, I mean, by that stage he was definitely in second place anyway, but it meant that Philip Schenk could just get that a little bit further away. Stop the clock at 1:23, which was 11 seconds quicker than Nikolai. So, final race in this quarter-final stage. Fedor Samoilov coming closest to the camera against Misha Pekolraz. Close to a home World Cup for Misha, comes from Bolzano, which is only just up the road, now lives and trains in Innsbruck. Fedor representing Ukraine. I said it in the boulder, make no apologies for saying it again. It is great to see Ukrainian climbers competing here in Arco, and we're right with them. And where they go, Misha absolutely throwing himself into those first couple of moves. Wasn't particularly happy with how the boulder went, Misha. And I think looking to make amends pretty quickly here in the duel. Already got a pretty good lead. Fedor Samoilov, he's been on lead World Cup podiums. He has real pedigree in this discipline, albeit he hasn't been in a final in any discipline in the IFSC World Cup so far in 2022. But no doubt he is a serious lead climber. But right now it's Misha Pikolruaz who's got the lead. Is he taking big risks? So we've seen a couple of climbers slip on the women's side and fall unexpectedly. So Misha's got to be careful. It's a dangerous game to play if you take risks and try and climb a bit more quickly than you would naturally. So far, Misha is hanging on to that lead. He's into the steeper section now. Has he skipped out a clip there? I think he has actually there, Misha, but so's Fedor. We'll see what the judges say about that. For now, Misha is still going strong and stops the clock at 1:29. Like I say, I'm pretty sure there was a skipped clip there, but on both sides. Maybe flagged by the judges, I may be mistaken, but either way, no doubt that Misha Pikolruaz was at the top first.
During the practice, I think that Misha and Jakob have a special training for this kind of climbing. The only two that have a different approach to the practice from except the other climber.
What do you mean? What do they do differently to the other climbers?
But I have seen they were looking for the best solution, the fastest best solution. Not only to know the harder movements, but they studied how could be the fastest solution in
see there 1:29 from Misha. And 1:40, almost exactly 100 seconds for Fedor. So Fedor is eliminated. And that is how they stand. It's Luka Potočar, Martin Stranek, Philip Schenk, and Misha Pikolruaz who progress. No, I'm not entirely sure about that. Unless the judges know something I don't. I'm pretty sure Jakob Schubert won that first race. But we shall see. Serves me right for just reading what's on the screen. We'll see if Luka comes out and not Jakob Schubert, then we'll find out what's happened. We'll try and find out for you. Maybe it was an error with the graphics. A little mystery for us to solve. Cheon Surnau takes on Jesse Pilz, two lead world champions. This should be a tight race.
Probably this is the first final.
Waiting to go, you can see the rain still coming down here in Arco, just being made to wait a bit. Temperature coming down as well though. Conditions probably not too bad on the wall right now. Despite the rain, it's not particularly humid and it's definitely cooling off. Which is my way of saying I wish I brought a jacket. So, Cheon and Jesse both set off, both very evenly matched through the early section. As I say, these climbers both with real pedigree, World Cup winners, world champions in lead. Absolutely at the top end of the game. What have they got when they go head to head on the dual wall here in Arco? very little to separate them. Jessie maybe one move, half a move ahead. But it can change so quickly. Any indecision, any issues with a clip, and suddenly you can be in all sorts of trouble. And pretty much perfectly evenly matched now. Almost climbing in unison at this stage, almost basically nothing to separate them at all. Jessie maybe a split second ahead, perhaps, but Cheon clipped first, Jessie moved first, almost nothing to separate them. Cheon now perhaps with a slightly going through the steepest section of the wall. What can she do as she swings her feet round? Jessie follows suit. Jessie just cuts loose, doesn't bother with the feet. It's probably quicker that way. Is it going to result in her winning? Yes, it is. 7/100ths of a second in it. Jessie, it seemed, took quite a big risk coming through the roof. Chose not to use the feet much. And it seemed to just give her an advantage at a key moment. It'd be really interesting to see that roof section again.
Many times the wave decided the competition, because I think because when you are on the wave, you turn, you lose the reference, you don't remember what you have to do. The clipping is also harder than in the first part.
This is the section I was talking about. Jessie just campers straight through, didn't bother leading with the feet, and I think that actually saved her a second or two and gave her the lead, and you can see how close it was. I think that's very clever climbing from Jessie. Realised she was maybe a split second behind, took a riskier option through the roof, and it was enough to get her through. And Cheon, I think, left her flip-flops at the bottom of the wall, goes back to retrieve them as Camilla Moroni walks past. See Vita Lucan here on the left, we finally get a chance to see it. Both of these climbers raced unopposed for the second part of their first races. Both their opponents fell. So will this be the first time they get a race all the way to the top? The winner will take on Jessie Pilz in the final. And Vita, certainly the quicker climber so far, but there's still not much in it. A couple of seconds there for Camilla Moroni getting that quick draw clipped, and it's meant that Vita's turned her maybe half a move lead into a full move, maybe 2 move lead. Vita powering through it. She definitely climbed within her comfort zone to an extent on the previous run when she ended up running unopposed. So she'll just go on to the slightly easier angle section. Then it gets really steep, and then it's just a race for the top. And you can see now Vita probably a body length ahead. Again, little fumble with the quick draw for her. Just cost her a second or two. Second or two can be crucial, actually. Now then, let's pan out. Let's see. Vita, all sorts of problems. All sorts of problems with that long quick draw. So she has got a little bit of time. She doesn't need to take any big risks here, Vita. You can see using her feet just a little bit more than Jessie did and getting herself now set up for the final move. And there it is, 1:48. Looked like it was going to be tighter, that one, but Vita just began to pull away, ended up with a almost 6-second victory. Really impressive stuff from Vita Lucan. She'll need to find a little bit more time, though, when she takes on Jessie Pilz in the next round. Little fist bump between the two climbers. So you can see here they were really evenly matched early on. Vita just gradually grew that lead from about halfway, really turned it into a meaningful lead.
Also for the trophy of Rockmaster, the battle is very close with Seo and Jessica.
Yes, very close indeed. As you see there, 148. As I say, 0.697 if we're being very particular. And just under 155 for Camilla. So that is what we end up with. No, I'm pretty sure Vita Lucan won that one as well. Maybe a little issue with the graphics here. We'll see.
Like for male, they make a mistake with the
graphics.
The graphics.
Yeah, still showing. We're still seeing Luca Patočar winning against Jakob Schubert. Yeah, it was definitely Jakob Schubert who won that one. Oh, let's see who we get. We'll find out, and we're trying to track down a bit of information. A bit the WhatsApp message I had just down from the front was that actually Jakob Schubert has won, and we'll go through, and yes, he has. Okay. So it is a problem with the graphics. Jakob hasn't been disqualified. He is racing, and he's taking on Martin Stranik. Two veterans of the sport. The only two men in the competition here in Arco over the age of 30. Jakob 31, Martin Stranik 32. And still cutting it, to say the least. And Martin really firing through these lower moves. I mean, Martin Stranik, fantastic climber as he is in both boulder and lead, will surely have to do something very special to beat Jakob, so perhaps taking a few more risks than he might normally do. And you can see already Jakob's got kind of a body length lead. I'm going to say 3 or 4 moves. But Jakob working hard too, and of course taking risks. Like we said a few times, you've got to take big risks. And Martin Stranik perhaps took one risk too many there. And Jakob Schubert, let's have another look at what happened to Martin. Right foot cut loose, and they're pretty poor holds he's on there. If you lose your feet unexpectedly, it's pretty hard to hang on. But Jakob absolutely smashing up the upper section of the route. 1 minute 3. He didn't even use the last hold. Jakob looks pretty happy with that one. Amazing performance from Jakob.
Suddenly Stranik loses the footholds in the hardest movement. The big banana, it's a very hard movement.
We can see here at the start, Martin Stranik, it's like he'd been fired out of a gun the first few moves. Absolutely flew through it, but Jakob quickly began to catch him and pass him. And this is where we lost Martin. You'll see there, yeah, he's on that big banana hold. It's a pretty terrible hold. If you don't have your feet on, it's going to be tough to hang on to.
It's strange because the footholds, it's the big shoulder from the previous moment. It's a very big, but probably to to be able to go faster, he put the foot without control.
Two Italians now. Two Tyroleans.
From the same same town. They are from Val Gardena. From the same town.
Yeah, Philip Schenk and Misha Picolraz. Both look like they want this one. Both climbing quickly. Misha definitely got a pretty significant lead at this stage. We've seen it so many times on the Arco wall, even this evening. Little mistake, little fumble, it can all change. And suddenly it's changed in that Misha's lead looks a little bit smaller than it did 3 or 4 moves ago. And that banana hold, where we lost Martin Stranick and we lose Philip Schenk. I think it was maybe a move or two before we lost Martin Stranick. Let's have another look. No, it was on that same banana hold. Oh, and he made a mistake. Moved with the right hand, tried to go back. It was already off balance. So Misha Picolraz now perhaps should have clipped that quick draw, but either way is straight through. And Misha stops the clock at 1:17. So he's 14 seconds slower than Jakob, but he wasn't going full speed. Certainly slowed down once Philip fell, I'm sure. So will be Jakob against Misha. Look at Misha exploding into that early move. Jakob will take on Philip in the final. So this was the final few moves of Misha Picolraz. He actually used that last hold, which Jakob didn't. So there may be a little bit more time for Misha to find. Yeah, now the graphics are correct. It will be Jakob Schubert against Misha Picolraz for the win here in Arco. Apologies for the issues earlier on. That is correct now. So Jakob against Misha Picolraz. And Leo, really interesting to watch this time. A few mistakes, but the climbers are trying to go faster every time. You can really see it, right? They're beginning to make mistakes because they're trying to go quicker.
The mistake to try to go quickly, but mistake or risk to take a risk to go quickly. For example, they choose to don't use the choke back, the magnesia. Also, if they know very well that the big banana, for example, it's very, very hard with friction. But anyway, to be sure, don't have something that can lose time, they choose to go without magnesia.
And when you set the route, do you try and imagine there's like a safe way of doing the move and a risky way to do the move? Or do you just set the route and they do what they want?
No, I don't know. We set to. We try to set like a lead to have one good, very good solution. But we try to look for another solution if they are very, very strong, that they can choose to go faster. But when now that we are set another route than before, this not happen. I think they climb more or less at the same.
And are there definitely some moves that if you're really confident you can just miss the move? It seemed like Jesse Pilz used a completely new method to go through the roof. Is that something you expected?
In the roof, it's hard to set the roof. It's hard.
Why is it so hard to set the roof?
I don't know why. The wave is, it's always we set something, and also we climb it and we do it in a different method. And yes, because I don't know why, but on the wave it's always the same.
Something about it.
This is maybe it's the interest of this world, of this competition, because you arrive on the wave and you forgot your method, you lose your holds, and so you have the last chance to win again.
You can see there on the graphics, by the way, Jesse Pilz will take on Vita Lucan. The closest race for sure was Jesse Pilz against Cheon. And there is the crowd. It's really good to see everyone come out. It has actually stopped raining. It's a damp evening here in Arco. Hard to imagine. It's the first time I've ever seen rain in Arco in the 10 times I've been here. It does, apparently it does rain sometimes. So this for the bronze medal, of course. Before the final we'll have
for example, the female.
Cheon and Camilla.
The female have always the choke bag.
They always have what?
They won't take the risk to.
So this for the bronze medal, place on the podium at stake here in Arco, and that means a lot. 35 years of history. If you're on the podium, it's something truly special. Cheon flying out of the blocks, already opened up a little bit of a lead. Often one climber's ahead in terms of moves, but the other one's ahead in terms of clips. But no doubt, Cheon leading the way for now. Camilla Moroni staying close enough, though, that if there is an issue for Cheon, she could quickly pass her. Italy picked up 3 medals. Don't want to give too much away, but Italy picked up 3 medals on the boulders earlier on today. Camilla Moroni looking for another one this evening here on the dual wall, but Cheon's now got a kind of a body length lead. Cheon now moving on to the steeper section, I think has enough of a lead and probably a little bit more experience really at the top end of league competitions at Cheon. Hard to believe we can say that when she's only 18, but it's true. Cheon has got that little bit more mileage of winning at the top level, and she will judge her pace, I am sure. So just a couple more moves. She's going to stop the clock somewhere just short of 140, 137.9. And Camilla Moroni still going, of course. Will end up, I suspect, about 12, 13 seconds behind. And there it is, yeah, 12 seconds behind for Camilla Moroni. It is Cheon who takes the bronze here in a damp and atmospheric evening in Arco.
Facciamone ancora un applauso che saluta giustamente il pubblico di Arco, ha lottato fino alla fine, si è portata a casa una finalina.
And Camilla Moroni, you can see, gave that route everything she had, breathing hard, but it's Cheon who takes the bronze.
Ha fatto quello che doveva, cioè non sbagliare, che comunque non è mai una cosa scontata.
Cheon, I have to say, always looked like the quicker climber on the route. Always had a lead, just had to control it and did. You can see there, Cheon, really had it in the bag at that stage.
finaliste che andranno a sfidarsi per la medaglia d'oro di questo Rockmaster ancora non le vediamo fare capolino, allora aspettiamo qualche istante ad annunciarle perché vogliamo accompagnare.
Such a fabulous venue, this climbing stadium. Look at that. So now Jesse Pilz taking on Vita Lucan, closest to the camera.
Pubblico di Arco, siamo arrivati alla prima delle due finali e quindi da quando le ragazze arriveranno verso l'alto voglio sentirvi gridare tutti quanti insieme.
Jesse, you think, will be the favourite here. Very impressive against Chun, how she could suddenly just find another gear. But Vita Lucan has got real pedigree on the lead wall, to put it mildly. She's already been in 2 lead finals in the IFSC World Cups in 2022. But she is taking on the World Games champion, former lead world champion, Jesse Pilz. Could be tight though, it is so far, very little to separate them. Jesse half a second ahead. Jesse no doubt will have to climb absolutely at her best to win this one. She's definitely got a bit of a lead here, maybe a move or two. But Vita really shifting as well. Through this middle steep section of the wall, and we're getting to know it pretty well now. It begins to ease off just above them at the next angle change, then gets very steep, and then it's just a case of powering through. Vita, the feet actually cut off. Feet came off, I think, unexpectedly there, but somehow stayed on. Luckily for her, she was on good holds at the time, and I think perhaps Vita's taking a few risks to try and rein Jesse in. The lead Jesse has is only small, but it is there. Is it there any longer? Now they're pretty much neck and neck. This is for the win here on the legendary overhangs of Arco. Who can find a quicker way through the roof? Will Jesse risk going free again? She will. But so does Vita. This is going to be very tight, but I think Jesse Pilz is going to take it. It is Jesse Pilz who takes it by 4/10 of a second. I'd love to see that finish again, because I think Vita Lucan actually had a slap at the timing pad and might just have missed it and had to go again. Jesse Pilz wins here in Arco, the 35th edition of the Rockmaster. Jesse was in the lead pretty much the whole way, and about the middle third of the route, Vita Lucan just basically refused to be left behind. She caught Jesse up as they went into the really steep section. They were pretty much neck and neck. There was a couple of slips like that one from Vita, but she kept going, and the finish was incredibly tight. I'm pretty sure Vita had a quick go at the timing pad and then had to go again, but it happened so quickly I'd like to see it again. So Jesse did go for the footloose option, but then Vita did the same. Nearly caught her. Vita, yeah, I'm not sure what happened with the timing pad. She went once and then fell. It was either way. We won't go there. Jesse is the winner. First place for Jesse Pilz against Vita Lucan with chance in third. But something looks strange with the end of that. Vita touched the timing pad. There was a slight pause, and then the timing stopped, which is why I thought she might have gone twice. Who knows? One thing is for sure, which is the timing system is certainly more reliable than my eyes. So no doubt Jesse Pilz the winner, but dramatic finish.
At the best time. Anyway, in the final round, the best time.
For sure. Jakob Schubert now takes on his former housemate. They used to live together in Innsbruck, Misha Pekolraz. Friendship put to one side, I'm sure, in that one. Of course, first we got the bronze medal race. Martin Stranik on the left, Felix Schenk on the right.
Representing Italy, we have Philip Schenk. Ci si gioca al terzo, quarto posto in questa finalina. Philip Schenk che è andato vicinissimo al colpo grosso, al drago rosso, portarsi a casa la finale contro Jakob.
Schubert non è andata come si auspicava e allora sicuramente adesso avrà voglia di rivalsa, voglia di rivincita e portarsi a casa.
So you can see that the handhold they're both starting on, if you are just joining us, that was added at the last second so the climbers didn't have to take a running jump at the start, which was the original plan until the rain started to come down and it was deemed a bad idea, I think rightly. Are running jump starts ever a good idea on lead walls? Discuss. So Philip Schenk on the right here, Martin Stranik on the left. Martin Stranik maybe a tiny bit ahead, but just chalked up, and in the split second it took him to do that, Philip Schenk moved into the lead. And Philip Schenk's got an even bigger lead now. This is really close. Oh, Martin Stranik just trying to track down that long quick draw. And these two are absolutely neck and neck. Let's see them alongside each other. Both of them fumbling with the quick draw. Both of them battling out of the final section. It looks like Philip Schenk's got a slight lead and takes it in 1:12.5.6. Took a big risk, I think, there, Philip Schenk. It looked like he went for the timing pad, a move earlier than he would have liked to. But he gets the job done, wins it by a second or so. Incredible how close these races are getting. Philip Schenk, second medal of the day for him. He was a little slow at the start, but made up for it. They were both right next to each other the whole way. Neither of them ever really had a meaningful lead. But it is Philip Schenk who takes third place at the bronze medal. Let's have a look at Philip Schenk. Yeah, skipped out the last hold. A few climbers have done that and just went for it, and I think it probably got him the win. So, two good friends. Put that friendship to one side for a couple of minutes, but probably won't be a couple of minutes. It'll be more like a minute and change. Jakob Schubert and Misha Pekolruaz. Jakob looked so good on his previous run. 1:03.
We will see if 59.
59 seconds would be nice. Let's see. Both climbers set to go slightly different starting position now. Misha sinks down. Both of them launch into those sections. They train together. They're very close friends. Train, as Leo mentioned, in quite similar ways. Both practice this style of climbing, kind of quick lead climbing. But it's Jakob who's delivering and executing better so far here in Arco in the duel. But he'll have to take risks to stay ahead of Misha. Misha might have to take bigger risks to stay with Jakob. Jakob really beginning to pull away now. Can he start to play it slightly safe, or would he rather have the time in hand? Would he rather clock a really spectacular time? We'll see. As it is, he's comfortably in the lead. This is one of the biggest leads we've seen in any of the races this evening. And Misha beginning to get left behind. What will Jakob do? Will he try and race the clock, or will he just play it safe? He's going to win if he doesn't make any big errors. But Jakob looks like he wants the time. Misha falls. Jakob starts the clock in 1:01. Didn't quite go under a minute, but spectacular from Jakob Schubert. He really had the race won halfway up, but still chose to go at full speed. Spectacular stuff. Another gold medal to add to the Jakob Schubert collection. Trophy cabinet in the Schubert household must be pretty big already. It'll need to be a little bigger after today. And they were evenly matched at the start, but then Misha, actually, you can see there, had a very small lead. And then Jakob just began to pull away.
It's incredible. The time record in the last run, and if you think that they have no recovery,
it's true. Yeah, they have very little time. This was Jakob. I thought for a second he might do 59 seconds, but he ends up with 1 minute 1. Incredible performance. Nothing seems to slow him down. He gets older. We have global pandemics. Doesn't matter. Jakob just keeps on winning. Incredible athlete. Wins again here in Arco. I wonder what that was about. We'll try and find out later. But yeah, there you can see it. Jakob Schubert, first place for him. Misha Pekolraz takes second with Philip Schenk third. Good day for Italy. Picked up a handful of medals, 2 here in the men's duel. And nice to see the crowd staying behind. Now that the rain has stopped, we'll have the flower ceremony for the athletes and then the podium after that. But wonderful action here in Arco. Always a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to watch the duel. It's a unique competition, and in the 35th year, it's maybe that little bit more special. And you can see that the crowd that deserve to be at the front. Then they opened the gates for the crowd to come in. This lot came sprinting across the field to make sure they had the best view in the house, and they are staying to the bitter end. It's still raining a little bit, but nothing like it was earlier, and everyone enjoying the show. Flower ceremony, I believe, coming up very shortly, and as I say, we'll have the podiums at some stage after that. But what a wonderful evening. It looked, I have to say, we were in Arco at about 7:30, 8 o'clock having dinner, and it looked like we might not get the duel final. It was raining incredibly hard, almost tropical rain, and some wind with it. And I was beginning to wonder whether we'd get a show tonight, but we did. And it was wonderful. Very close races. Jakob Schubert with an extraordinary performance to cap it off, climbing a route that we guess. We don't like giving competition routes a grade, but somewhere in the 8A plus region, and climbing it in a minute. Quite breathtaking performance. Amazing finish to a wonderful evening and a wonderful event, it has to be said. We've been here for a few days now, enjoying Arco and the atmosphere, the Rockmaster and the company of the other climbers. It's been wonderful. This was Sean and Camilla Moroni in the runoff for the bronze. And Sean always looked in control in this one. Really steady, strong performance. A climber to keep a very close eye on at just 18 years old. Already achieved so much, and you suspect a lot more to come.
So let's go on. Andiamo avanti con la flower ceremony. Cominciamo dalle ragazze e quindi al terzo posto di questo duello del Rockmaster 22 rappresenting Korea, ladies and gentlemen.
So we've just seen Cheon on the wall and Camilla Moroni, and Cheon, I've just heard her being announced. There she is. That's it, number 3. There we go, Cheon. She's more used, even at 18 years old, more used to being on the top step of the podium, but 3rd today. In Cheon's defense, I only noticed this earlier on, there are no numbers on the back of the podium, so when you're standing behind it, it's not immediately obvious which one is 2nd and which one's 3rd, but we've found it now. Vita Lucan in 2nd place, anyway. So 2 gold medals going back to Innsbruck. The first one to Jessie Pilz. She's having a very, very productive summer. A couple of weeks ago, she was in Alabama winning the World Games. Here she is winning the 35th edition of the legendary Arco Rockmaster. Stefano Tamburini, the president of the Rockmaster. Hands of flowers to Vita Lucan. Fabulous performance from her. But no one could catch Jessie Pills. Probably her standout performance was in the semi-final against Cheon. Took a couple of risks and was rewarded. A race that looked lost, and she found a way to win it. And that is her reward, a win on the legendary overhangs of Arco.
Thank you, ladies. And so let's go on with the flower ceremony.
So up next, we will have the flower ceremony for the men.
Rockmaster 2022, representing Italy, Schenk.
Now, here's a young man who's put in a good day's work. Philip, not that guy down the front, Philip Schenk, who has just made his way out onto the stage and is standing right there on the third place of the podium. And a bit of applause as well deserved for those members of the crowd who've stood out here in the rain to cheer the medalists. But yeah, Philip Schenk, very productive day for him. Fabulous day's work in Arco. You think about the combined format we'll use at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Philip Schenk is a name worth watching. Misha Pekolruaz also falls into that category as well. He said he absolutely loved the Olympic experience in Tokyo last year and would love to have it again in Tokyo. Maybe even end up a little higher up the ranking. And speaking of the Olympics, one of the many medals that the man who's about to come out has won in his career was at the Olympics. It was a bronze medal in Tokyo. It is a gold medal in Arco. Jakob Schubert congratulates Philip Schenk and Misha Pekolruaz. Another gold, another win. The Jakob Schubert story continues. I think it's got a few more years to run yet. Jakob Schubert wins again here in Arco. Last won the duel back in 2019. The world's a bit of a different place to 3 years ago, but some things don't change. Jakob Schubert winning again in Arco. He's in first. Misha Pekolruaz in second and Philip Schenk in third.
Both men and women have two on the podium, the same two on the podium for boulder and duel.
So there we can see it. Leo, you've been coming to Rockmaster for a long time. It's still special.
Yes. Maybe also because only here we can see this format, and so it's one time in here you can see a very big battle.
It's been a wonderful few days in Arco. Leo, thank you for your company, and thank you to everyone watching at home. As I say, what a fabulous day of climbing, and who better to finish our coverage with than the man who's organised 35 of these things, Angelo Sonecchi. Thanks for watching. We'll hopefully see you next year.
Thank you, everybody.
In '86, Manuele Casarà and Andrea Mellano came to Arco proposing to have the second competition in the world. And it was a lucky moment because we were discussing about a new tourist model. In '86, we had the first Portrocha on the rocks. This was really successful event. And in this winter, municipality called me and asked to think about a new idea. And together we decided to have a unique event, something that really they can say, okay, this is Arco. We decided to have a master only for the best climber from the first edition. And from this time, the story started, and never finished till now. From the beginning, our focus to do an event deeply related to the economy of Arco and the tourism economy of Arco. When you say Rockmaster, you understand Arco immediately and climbing. I am happy when somebody that is not a climber related Arco to Rockmaster and Rockmaster to Arco. This, I think, is the best result that we got. We are a laboratory for climbing. All the other competition have a standard, of course, it's national, international circuit and so on. But we decide not to be out, but to be free of this standardization and try new formula like Duel, like Cow Boulder, and to find a way to show climbing to the wider audience. Everybody in Arco feels to be part of the story because everybody have a clear relation with the economy of Arco that is passion from climbing, and also because really it's a part of life. Also, if you walk in Arco, it's difficult to find somebody without climbing or outdoor gear. If you have the possibility to look to Arco, now to look in the past to Arco 40 years ago, you cannot believe that is Arco. Now it's completely, of course, it's easy to see that it's completely changed. We pass from a little grey town to a colored town.